with a clear mind and a clear heart, and did what we intended to do.
Just parents here.
Just parents. And I think there was a unexpected amount of people in the gallery for me, and that took me by surprise.
More people than you thought.
More people than I thought.
Okay.
And then I promptly forgot everything I had intended to say. But we, I think, had a very peaceful and beautiful art making moment together.
Got us off in the right direction.
It really did.
Finger painting.
Yeah, we were able to spend, like, I felt non-threatened at that point, and it was really wonderful to just be able to express a tiny version. Yes, like in conversation with her. Yes. And then, all the excitement of the moment of getting to express ourselves verbally.
Oh, it was so amazing. We didn't think we'd have time to even get a word out after making the mess.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, it occurred to me that there was a non-violent container that we always talk about creating on the roadblock.
Felt like, now it's
we
time.
had a container.
Yeah.
And there was like hush. Yeah. Even the staff had come back to listen. You were like, what are y'all doing? So we just started talking. That's
right. And they held us for a very long time in the, where were we? Security offices of the museum.
No windows.
And and not allowed to sit down for quite a while. And an initial, very upsetting incident with Will in a conference room that I was even having trouble processing because I didn't understand what was happening, and there was such an excess use of force, and there was a lot of testosterone in the room, and there was an illegal seizure and search of property, and it was all really upsetting. And then we got taken. They figured out it would be better if we were all in separate rooms, and so we each got our own room.
In the museum still.
Yes, and what was interesting is I was in art historian's office who is responsible for handling theft and damage of artwork. And so I got to kind of look at the information on her board. And the other thing that I found very fascinating was all of her family photos were there on her desk. And I was fascinated just with myself how centered I was when I would just look at her family. It wasn't my family, but seeing human faces and seeing beautiful children on her wall, that got me through that part of our detainment.
The human connection.
The human connection.
Down in the basement.
Yes.
In the dungeon office.
And with all the uncertainty of why we were being hauled, no one had told our charges. I don't think we were ever really.
What you were charged with?
Yeah, what did you get charged with?
Hang on. We might have it here.
We do.
Oh,
we got charged with defacing public property.
Vandalism, I think it was.
Yeah.
You guys know misdemeanor, felony?
It's misdemeanor.
Misdemeanor.
Well, that is what they told us, but it does not say on here. So, and they did.
They told you it was a misdemeanor.
They did.
It doesn't say on there.
It doesn't say on there.
Okay.
Here's our no getting back into the museum.
That's the worst punishment ever.
I thought it was fair.
I find it cruel and unusual for me personally because it's a huge sacrifice. I love the art in that institution, and I'm hoping that we can explain ourselves in the future and become partners with them.
So you love the arts. A lot of people are having issues trying to figure out why the hell you did what you did.
Yes. Okay, the art is practically, to me, I think I got some of it out in the gallery. It's the highest expression of the human spirit. It's the, it's the creativity that moves us forward in the world and helps us make sense of what the world means. And it's how innovation and thought happens, by artists making things and sharing them with us. And the National Gallery in particular is so important to me because it's patriotic. It's an expression of what America appreciates and what we value. We value all the adjectives I just mentioned, and we value beauty, and we value life and nature. We value all of the subjects within all the art that we've decided to enshrine in that institution. And it's a really important place to me. I've visited it many times over my lifetime. And I'm really, when he told me that, it was a punch. Yeah.
So you poured paint over I don't know if it's priceless or it's near priceless.
It is. It's priceless. It's priceless, and it was chosen with intention because it's the beeswax model that all of the other plaster cast bronzes are made from. It was made from natural material. All of our pollinators are at risk. They're in crisis, just like we are. And if they go, we go, because our food supply depends on them. And so the fact that she's made out of beeswax is really important to me. And the fact that she is imperfect, I think I got that out in the gallery. I really feel that we all need to deal with our imperfections and embrace them, and not, no shame. We're all human. We're all trying the best we can. We're not all going to be on the same page about everything all the time. There's a lot of mess within us and outside of us, and so her imperfections, that's why, like, she's a message to all of us to just do your thing. And then her stance is so empowering. It's so strong and present, and the circumstances of her life are really tragic, and she was probably terribly taken advantage of and very vulnerable, the way that everyone in the world who's being impacted by our crazy amount of emissions is vulnerable, and chosen with intention because we knew we could not hurt her. We didn't want to hurt her. We didn't want to destroy her or damage her. We want her to live on, for everyone to get what I get from looking at her. And so we chose her because she's very well protected. And we want everyone to stop and think about, why don't we protect our own children and our own world in such a way that they too would be immune from any kind of damage.
Isn't she kind of like a symbol of all the children of the world?
To me, she was today, because she was innocent, right? She was innocent. We were the instigators today. I won't say that we were, whatever they say, criminal on there. Vandals. I say that the vandals are the oil companies and the banks and the politicians that are continuing to destroy our livable planet. But I will say that we were there, and we take responsibility for being there. And the reason that we were there was because there are a lot of vulnerable children in the world.
And as parents, we are going to accept responsibility for whatever they charge us with. We'll serve our whatever
comes.
Whatever the consequences are. As responsible parents, these are the values that we want to demonstrate to our children, and we expect the same responsibility and care for life from our government, federal government. Amen.
How long were you handcuffed for in there?
Yeah, I had a rough time with the handcuffs because the person who handcuffed me in the gallery was very aggressive.
Yeah.
I understand that he was a contractor of some sort. He was not part of the National Gallery staff. They were all very professional and reasonable with us and careful with us. But this one guy who initially removed us from the gallery got me in really tight and made me walk way faster than I can walk. Hello, I have some health issues, and I have some major joint issues. This is a good teaching moment for anyone who's interested in my personal condition, which is that I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I have hypermobile joints. It's a very rare genetic disease, and it makes you fragile. It makes you delicate physically. Your skin, depending what variation you have, can be fragile. You get strange scars. Your joints pop in and out all the time, and you end up getting very early replacements already. Anyway, he didn't want to hear any of that, and he handled me very roughly, and I did not appreciate that.
And he handled Tim.
Yes, he really did. So maybe that's a chance for them to do better training with whatever these contractors are they're pulling into their, what I consider to be hallowed space. I don't think people with that kind of aggression should be in that space.
Exactly.
Can I just say, like, you're a bit of a hero for me. Like, you're so brave to do this, given
And both of you.
I think we are in vulnerable space. All of us, every person on the planet is in a vulnerable space because of the lack of care taken to the physical and biological facts of our existence. By ignoring that, we are setting ourselves up for huge failure. So we feel it necessary to make sacrifices now before things get even worse. Because they're going to get worse. Oh my gosh. We are so behind in preparing for this ginormous, huge transition that we have to make.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
I think I managed it. Thank you. I managed to get out in the gallery that I am aware of really interesting programs that are happening at the federal level, but I'm also aware of their tragic inadequacy, you know, and I think it's great to celebrate our wins, you know, anytime we prevent drilling from happening in a particular bay somewhere, or anytime we make sure that kids are going to be drinking out of lead-free pipes. Yay, let's celebrate that. But we can't say that we're winning because the same administration is moving forward with disastrous amounts of fossil fuel infrastructure that will lock us into that deadly technology at a time when we already have other solutions, real solutions, not false solutions, because there are a lot of those floating around too. There's a lot of talk about, you know, carbon capture technologies that are not quite up to speed, and there is still, this administration is still referring to it as net zero by 2050. Wrong timeline, wrong concept. Net zero means that any polluters who want to can keep doing exactly what they're doing, but offset it somehow. And
you know what the worst,
not okay.
You know what the worst lie? The worst lie about, the worst insult to the whole planet without the 2050 is the United States and the rest of the Western world, mainly Europe, are responsible for 70% of the historic emissions. And this is like our commonwealth of air quality that we ought to distribute evenly, but no, the United States is already committed to 40%. So in terms of fair and equitable commitments, the United States should be trying to hit it by 2030, like in 7 years, because we've already used up our fair share. So we ought to make space for the countries that are needing to catch up with, like, get out of poverty and just get up to what might be considered a fair and equitable material footprint. I think the economists refer to one way to measure fair, equitable lifestyle is something like in terms of material footprint measured in tons per person per year, and the calculated estimated fair global average of consumption per year is 8 tons per person. And right now the global South nations are averaging out around 2, and the global North nations are averaging out around 28. And so we need to scale down our consumption, which already is inefficient and unnecessary and not socially valuable or even wanted, but our ruling class does it anyway because they need to keep the whole machine going, just for a few at the top to keep benefiting, while the rest of us are stuck in this really unhealthy, unfair system.
You guys will be pleased to know this got a lot of coverage in the news.